Good afternoon from the absolute busyness, which is Kansai International Airport. I'm currently on the look for Nate, who's seeming to have an explore right now. I have our tickets, and we're gonna head to Osaka, specifically Dotonbori, to get some dinner, because we just got from Hong Kong and we are quite famished. And thus begins our journey in Japan. Let's go find a Nate real quick. Monsieur. Welcome to Japan. We got off our train, we made it here to Osaka, one of the greatest cultural cities here in Japan. Nate has never had conveyor belt sushi. We saw it here in the station while we were walking by, so I said, we have to. Very happy to be here in Japan, guys. I've been wanting to come here for years now. I remember when I was maybe 13 or 14, I wanted one of those earthquake-proof houses. That was my dream home. And I've made it, guys. I'm here. And hopefully my Japanese is up to par, but of course, the only way to do that is to calibrate your tongue with Japanese food. So that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Turns out that it's pretty much in the name, conveyor belt sushi. It's just sushi on a conveyor belt.
Well, that's what I call it.
Is there a different name? Heck of a long way.
So Nate here has fish on rice. Fish in Japanese is what, Nate? You know the word.
I don't.
We only said it 80 times.
Tell me.
Starts with an S. S-A. Sakana on gohan. Itadakimasu. One of the reasons I love Japan already is because my favorite, unlimited water that they come and refill when you pour it all over the table.
Even the sewer grates are beautiful.
You're so tall, Nate. To give you guys a tour of our little spot here. Special thing about Japan is obviously beep beep boop boop, the buttons. Then of course we have master bedroom of sorts. Shower. Let's check out the shower. The bucket shower. You see, in Japan it's typical to shower with bucket. And then we have our slippers and all the shampoos right there for us. How lovely of them. Ooh. But everything's kind of small here. Oh, look at that.
You can get some fresh air. And look over there, there's like a little temple gate.
Wow.
It's pretty.
That's very beautiful. So are you optimistic about Osaka, about Japan? What do you think?
I'd say I'm super optimistic. I mean, my first impressions have all been good.
Everything is very orderly, highly polite society. You heard close to no words spoken on the hour tram. And I just noticed that everything is very giggly, very cute. It's like being in a private middle school, if that makes sense. There's a lot of rules, but everyone's laughing at everything, having a good time. And I'm really looking forward to a whole week of that. We have a lot to see here in Japan, starting with Dotonbori, the shopping avenue. We have Osaka Castle tomorrow, and then we have way too much to see in Kyoto. And then Tokyo is a whole nother story in itself.
My favorite part that I'm looking forward to, that I always look forward to the most on any trip, is seeing historical sites and learning about the stories of the people who walked on this ground before we did.
Yet again, one word that comes to mind while I'm walking here on Dotonbori is calm. Except for that. I was expecting this place to be so chaotic, booming with noise, teeming with sound and smells. A lot like Hong Kong, where I just was. It's quite quiet. It's rather tame. I think it might have to do with it being low season right before Hanami, which is the blossom viewing time. The cherry blossoms will be out within a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. This is the famous Glico advertisement. This here is the center of all the action, but like I said, it's pretty quaint. I like it. That way is H&M. You have the fast fashion row, you have the fast food row over there, and of course, You have traditional Japanese food, you have the more modern westernized, Japanized food. I rebuke my former words. I found all the people. They're down that way. We've stumbled by this here Kobe beef restaurant. Fortunately, this is not that type of trip. I don't have the budget for it. Oh, they charge by the gram, 2,180 yen to be exact. That's gonna have to be for another day. Good morning from Osaka. It's raining. We're gonna try to find some umbrellas before we get to the station. We want to see the Osaka Castle, and that is outdoors, so we need some sort of protection. On this. Maybe it's good.
These are a little funny looking. Little chocolate mushrooms. I think I might have to try them. This is going to be my first Japanese snack. This. いくらですか？はい。これの。はい。ありがとう。はい、ありがとうございます。これ持っていてね。
Alright, so we got 2 umbrellas. This whole umbrella shop saved our day and probably our trip. Now we can journey on with confidence. ありがとう。はい、ありがとう。We've arrived here at a Katsu restaurant. You order on the screen, of course, and then you go to your little stall over there. We're eyeing this chicken cutlet. They have a breakfast special, but they also have black curry, which I really love. And you can't really go wrong with any of these dishes.
That is really good. This is my favorite meat that I've had since we've been in Asia. Definitely.
So this is katsu here. It actually comes from the shortening of cutlet. You can see it comes with a miso soup. Always delicious, warms your insides. Altogether, it makes for a hearty meal. This is one of the few restaurants open at this time at like 10:30. But you can't go wrong with katsu. So excited to dig into this. Well, I already have.
Oh, that's really good. I need to try one of these. Oh yeah, exactly what I thought it was. It was chocolate. It's really good.
Well, I think this is a good spot for a Japanese lesson. So, right here we see 3 different scripts. That is hiragana, that is kanji, and then up there is katakana. There are 3 scripts in Japanese. This one is used for pronunciation. This one is an abugida, that one is 2, and then that one is pictographic like Chinese. It actually is the same as Hanzi. So this says kinoko no yama, which means kinoko, mushroom, no, the particle possessive, and then yama, mountain. So here's our new favorite snack, mushroom mountain. I have my smiley guy and I took a bite out. It's a white bean custard taste. That's what that looks like inside. It's very soft, not too sweet, but a dessert nonetheless. You can see how soft and squishy it is. Yeah, I see why he's happy. Our bellies are full, so now it's time to go to Osaka Castle. So, we're here in the metro. We're going to be going all the way up to Osaka using we have a day card, and we only have to transfer once. Shouldn't be difficult. I think if you know how to use the metro anywhere in the world, the same principles generally apply when you come to Japan. It's not so difficult, and all the signs are written in the kanji or hiragana and the romaji Latin script, so not very difficult.
Hey, so while I was here waiting for the metro to come by, I looked down and saw these green signs which indicate that there are boarding points specifically for women as opposed to where men can get on. And me and TJ were just talking about how that would actually probably be a good practice to implement on metros all over the world. It's just to kind of, you know, get that extra layer of protection and respect for the young women of Japan. So very interesting new thing, but I am super in favor of it. Hello, favorite part of the trip.
This is interesting. We made it to the Osaka Castle, and I found this radio tower, which would have been used back in the 1930s when radio was just kicking off, but it wasn't popular enough for everyone to have one in their house. So people would come to the square like this, and they'd listen to a sumo wrestle or some sort of sport, or maybe just the news. And here it is, public radio receiver. And of course behind it is the Osaka Castle. This was the former capital of Japan for quite some time, and it is quite the elegant structure. The Osaka Castle was actually built before the Tokugawa shogunate, but then when the Tokugawas wanted to come in, these local feudal lords commit seppuku, burnt the whole thing down, and they had to rebuild it from scratch. Now this was originally the city that the Tokugawas wanted to be the capital of Japan, but they ended up being banished to Edo, which is now Tokyo, so that is how we get modern day Tokyo's capital. It has been standing strong for almost 400 years now, and they added to it over time to create one of the most impressive castles here in Japan.
So TJ mentioned just a second ago that this is one of the most well-kept castles in the world, or most well-preserved, and that's true because when you're talking about European castles, those things were built back in like the 11 or 1200s. Of course, there's some that are more recent, but that was like the medieval period for Europe. And when you talk about the medieval period for Japan, you're pushing that timeline way up to like the 14, 15, and 1600s. For example, these walls were reconstructed in 1620, which is much farther along down the line. That is less time for the elements and everything to get to it. Although parts of it are reconstructed, a lot of this is original, which is just so cool to see. Seeing this castle reminds me of a similar place I've seen actually back home in America, which is the Star Fortress at St. Augustine, Florida. They were both completed around the same time, but they've got some differences, and it's a good opportunity to talk about how siege warfare worked. And one of the first, most noticeable things that you can see here is the moat, which is a very, popular battlement. But what most people don't know is that the main function of the moat was actually to keep away sappers. Sappers were people who dug tunnels from far away to get underneath the walls and then would plant charges there. Now, obviously, if you got a huge thing of water there, you can flood the tunnels rather easily, and that's going to kill the sappers. And so that's a really good defense. Another thing, you can see here that this is built in a more late medieval style as far as European castle building is concerned. You can definitely see that whoever built this had cannon fire on their mind. Not only cannon fire, but sustained cannon fire designed to break down the walls. You can see that because you've got star-shaped angles here, especially on those really sharp angles with those big heavy pieces of stone, it's going to be really hard to bring your cannons up close and break down those walls. So a lot of fascinating things that you can see here. I don't know how much European castle building design actually influenced the design here, but there are a lot of really interesting comparisons that you can draw. One of the most important and well-known events in Japanese history is the Meiji Restoration. And you can see it mentioned a lot on the boards around here if you walk around. And if you've never heard of it, basically the Meiji Restoration was a move away from traditional Japanese culture, ideas, and values, and an adaptation of Western ideas, technology, and values.
The Meiji Restoration was a time that marked the end of the samurai era. It marked the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. This was the end of feudalism, in fact, in Japan, and it shifted onwards towards what we would then see to be the Japanese Empire.
You can really link a lot of the ideas to those of the Enlightenment in Europe. This isn't a coincidence because they were importing a lot of Enlightenment ideas at the time. Now, there was a counter Meiji Restoration, but that's a conversation for another time.
And this is how we ended up with modern Japan. We have reached the top of the castle, infinitely wiser about the Tokugawa shogunate, one of my favorite periods in all of world history, 16 to 1800s Japan. So much went down, but it's safe to say they had one of the greatest views in all of Japan back then and today. Feeling thirsty. Need to pick myself up some Pocari Sweat. You know how they make this, right? You don't want it. Here in the supermarket at Seven-Eleven, here, 7-Eleven, and individually wrapped banana. We just passed through Osaka. That was a beautiful stop. But our main journey is Kyoto, and we're gonna take the Kyoto Kawaramachi metro line to get all the way up there. Yes, it's true. Kyoto, Nara, and Osaka are all connected on one really large metro system, and we only paid 410 yen for this. That's what, $2.5, $3, and we're gonna go all the way up to Kyoto, where we're staying for the next 3 days.